All right, what's going on, everybody? Thank y'all for tuning in to the show. We're finna get ready to get this show started in just a few seconds. And definitely got a special treat in store for everybody. So I know y'all been looking forward to it. And we definitely gonna talk about one of the probably more interesting positions of this draft that we all know and love, and I think are looking forward to. So get ready for it. We finna get this show started in less than 60 seconds, and we gonna get ready to get into some weapons that we might need. So we got to add to the army a little bit. So let's get it going.
Hope you can still go. I never ran, sitting on, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your
Good evening, Titan Nation. How's everybody?
Good evening, Titan Nation. How's everybody doing? Welcome into a new edition of TNT Tonight. I'm your man, Chris, aka Blue Enforcer. Let's hope that my audio just does right tonight, because we know sometimes it can be a little jacked up, but we still gonna have a good time nevertheless. But definitely, everybody, make sure y'all go ahead and share this show out. Whether you follow me on Facebook, on Twitter X, or Instagram under TNT Enforcers, on Facebook, on Twitter X at TNT Blue Enforcer, or on Instagram at Titans underscore N underscore truth. I'm gonna be putting some stuff up on Instagram later on today. And then also make sure y'all definitely also catch up with me also on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, or Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from. Definitely make sure you do that as well. And everybody, as y'all come on in, please help me out a little bit by making sure that you like the show. Go ahead and smash that like button for me. And then if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well, and hit that bell for notifications, so that way you know that you're in all. So that way, anytime that I go live, you'll know what's going on. Also, I'm broadcasting live on Twitter, and also to my professional people on LinkedIn. Definitely making sure I get with them as well and everything. So putting this content out for everybody. But I told y'all I had something special in store for you. And he definitely try to deliver it. This man always comes through for me every single time I call upon him. He comes through. You know him, you love him, and if you don't, you will love him. The legend himself, my guy from ESPN, Titans reporter, my guy TD Teron Davenport is in the building once again. TD, man, as always, it's always a pleasure to have you. I feel like this is a yearly tradition when it comes to this particular position at this point in time. But welcome once again. Welcome back.
Yeah, for sure, man. Appreciate you having me.
Oh, absolutely, man. I definitely do appreciate that and everything. I was hoping I was going to try to get your guy D Mason, and run DMC on here, get Chris Sanders, but I couldn't catch him. But I'll catch him on the next go round. But
Yeah,
y'all know, if I got TD on the show, and this guy is a guru. Whenever I need some advice with the Titans, I go to this man, and particularly on this particular position. The draft is right about a week away, a week from tomorrow to be exact. And We talked about adding a protection in the front with the trenches on the offensive line. You got to have your protection when you go into battle. Then you got to have your first line of defense with defensive line. Now it's time to give the captain Will Levis some weapons. Give him some bullets to fire with, and we going into the wide receiver position in this draft. And baby, is it loaded? It is absolutely loaded, and we're not even gonna waste any time going into it. GD, what do you feel about this wide receiver position? Before I give my top five, you feel this wide receiver position is stacked? Am I right?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely stacked. You look at just from top to bottom. I mean, you have the top three in Roma Dunze, Malik Neighbors, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Those guys are like in one class. But then you look at the others, and the thing I like is there's chock full of guys that you could get, mid first round up into the third round that could come in and contribute immediately. You look at Xavier Legette, Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas, Keon Coleman. There's so many guys available, and it's a good year to need a wide receiver. That's for sure.
Absolutely, and I just think I'm excited about this position because I think even though we got DeAndre Hopkins and we got Calvin Ridley, there is still a need there because Coach Callahan mentioned that somebody's got to emerge from the slot, and I just think that this could be a position where you could have somebody maybe start off in the slot and then emerge, going outside, going forward. But I mean, there is chock full of guys who could just line up everywhere, and that's what you want. You want that versatility where you can line up in the X, the Y, or the Z and be able to do major damage.
Yeah, I mean they're going to cross train. Brian Callahan did mention guys in the slot need him to emerge, but the fact of the matter is, you look at Hopkins, you look at Ridley, Traylon Burks, Nick Westbrook, and Kinney. These guys are going to play across the formation, and there's some guys that you could get that could do that as well. In fact, to me, that's why I like a guy like a Ricky Pearsall a little bit more than Lad McConkey, because I feel as though Pearsall could win on the outside better than McConkey. But to your point, the versatility is much needed. This is a draft where, there's so many guys at all positions. As you mentioned, the X and the Z, you got the F, the slot guys. There's a lot to offer in this class. I think 7 to 8 receivers get drafted in the first round, in fact.
Ooh, I like the way you think on that one. I like where you're going with that. Maybe 7, 8 in the first round, and let's go ahead and get right into it. And there's a particular reason I have the five that I have, and hey, I know you might get me on this one, so feel free to get me and teach me some more stuff. But we got to start off with my top guy, the number one guy. Even though there is a very, very slim to none chance he's there, but there could be a possibility if things go crazy, and that is Maserati Marv, MHJ, 6'4", 205 from Ohio State. This guy can do it all. Can catch just about anything. Very good speed. Has that in his blood. And I will say this. I know a lot of us are talking about Joe Alt being the consensus pick, and I want him too. Maserati Bar, I will honestly say, in my opinion, is the only one I will take if him and Joe Alt are on the board together. I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr. over Joe Alt. Your thoughts?
I mean, if Marvin Harrison is there, I think he is the pick for the Titans. He's probably the best player in this draft, non-quarterback wise. Joe Alt, in my opinion, is the most pro ready. I've been on record saying that, but I think when you look at Harrison, the big thing is, as you mentioned, he could do it all. That's the train. I'm
Yeah.
downtown. As you look at Marvin Harrison, though, he could do it all, Marvin Harrison Jr., that is. And the thing that I like about him is he's had 2 years where he is the guy that teams focused on stopping, and he still had mad production. And I think you have to look at that. I saw in your cons the diva mindset. That I think that's a myth. I don't believe that he is a diva at all. Most wide receivers have that kind of stereotype. I think he's one of those guys that in this draft he just decided to do it his way, and he didn't want to leave any opportunities for anybody to continue to nitpick him. He's the ultimate victim of prospect fatigue. You look as you watch. I mean, I've been guilty of it myself. I know in our group chat with my homies, we talk a lot. One of the things that I found myself doing was, oh, he's he doesn't get you enough yards after the catch. Oh, he's a guy they scheme to support a lot. Yeah, that's true. He doesn't he benefits a lot from scheme, but he still is a guy that, as I mentioned, the scheme on the other team is to stop him, and he still continues to succeed. You look at the height, you look at the speed, as you mentioned, the bloodlines. Funny story, Marvin Harrison Sr., when he was at Syracuse, he was one of my favorite receivers, and he was a part of that draft that I think is the best draft for wide receivers ever. When you look at him, T.O., Eddie Kennison, Terry Glenn, rest in peace. You look at Moose Muhammad was in that draft. Joe Horn.
Mm.
I mean, you could go on and on. There were so many guys in that draft. Torrey Holt. I mean, that was a
Ooh.
dope draft class. But Marvin Harrison, when he was at Syracuse in practice in college, I used to wear number 8 because I loved him so much. My freshman freshman and sophomore year, I wore number 8, but I wore 88 in games. So it was just crazy. Like when he got drafted and he wore number 88, I'm like, yeah, this was meant to be. But I like Junior just because of that. You know what I mean? 'Cause I'm a big Marvin Harrison fan, but he's a guy that is very nuanced as a receiver. His routes are really good, and he doesn't get much credit for it. But he will go up and he will snap that ball out of the air with whoever covering.
Oh, absolutely, and that's some of the things I was definitely impressed. He's a combat catcher. He can get to that high point and be able to bring it down. I mean, he had. I honestly will say he had some subpar quarterback play and was still able to catch just about anything that was thrown his way.
He was
So,
he was better last year with subpar quarterback play than he was with CJ Stroud. I mean, think about that. So
okay,
he's one of those guys. I don't care what scheme you put him in, he's going to succeed. You could move him across the formation. You could have him, be a dedicated X receiver, like on the line of scrimmage, and he's going to win there. He could work the middle of the field like a Z receiver. He could work the slot. I mean, you could do everything you want with him, and he's a guy that I think is the best receiver in this draft class. Now, Malik Neighbors is a close second, and we'll talk about him in a moment. But I think when it comes to Marvin Harrison Jr., he is the one. And just to circle back to the thing about the not doing the combine, pro day, etc., I asked Brian Callahan about that, and he had no qualms. You know what I mean? So
okay.
that's his opinion, but it's also the opinion among many GMs. And I know he interviewed really, 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 really well and left some GMs like, hey, I'm not in a position to get him, but man, I would love to move up to do so.
I would definitely say so myself. I mean, I wouldn't mind having a Maserati, to drive with, and I think Will Levis will be real happy with that too. And we just segue. You just mentioned him, my second guy, who the reason why I got Marvin Harris on the list, because I'll go leave him off because I'm thinking we're probably not going to be able to draft this guy, but I go with what I like to call the Lamborghini, and that would be Malik Neighbors at LSU. And at first, I would probably say by the end of the college season, kind of going into the Senior Bowl, I wasn't really familiar with Malik Neighbors, but then I watched some of his game this week. Man, I mean, what has been said about him all this time is absolutely true. Speed, athletic, can run the routes. He knows how to get open, like Maserati Marv. And what is that one word that you and D Mace and Chris Sanders y'all want in a wide receiver? A DAWG, a flat out dog, a alpha dog, and that's Malik Neighbors. Could be a little bit more physical against the press coverage. In my opinion, it's just me. But honestly enough, I do not see a lot wrong with this guy's game. And It depends on if Joe Alt is there or not. If Joe Alt is gone at this point, I have absolutely zero issue if the Titans take Malik Neighbors at 7, given if Alt is gone. But I also keep thinking this: if Alt and Neighbors are both there at 7, that would be a fun yet very uncomfortable conversation that Callahan and Rand Carthon are going to be having in that war room. It might be going down to the final few seconds on that one because it's like, who do you go with?
Yeah, I mean, I love what Jordan Reed said about Malik Neighbors, and what he said was that he plays like he has a jetpack on his back, and that literally is what it looks like. Now, you mentioned the more physicality against press. It's an area for improvement, but it's an area where he has improved from last year to this year. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of his big plays that you saw, he didn't really face a lot of press coverage, right? But
Right.
you look at the game against Florida State. Jerry and Jones got the assignment, and he did a pretty solid job with Neighbors. But I think when you look at Malik Neighbors, the thing for me is just how he is coming off the ball. I love the way it's like he shot out of a cannon, like a slingshot, bang, and he
Attacks.
comes off the ball. That first two steps, he's already instantly making up the cushion. And
Oh,
anytime you
yeah.
get up on a corner like that, that causes them to. They may not panic outwardly, but inwardly they're panicking like, oh shoot, he's up on me already. You know what I mean? And you look at some of the routes that he ran, there is some nuance to it as far as just that slight look to the corner, sticking his foot in the ground, the outside one, and exploding to the post. But then you look at other times where he didn't even have to do that because he just straight ran by cornerback, even though the corner had a sizable 8 to 9 yard cushion on. I think when you look at Malik Neighbors, you also have to factor in the yards after the catch. This guy is an instant playmaker. He's someone, in my opinion, he makes up for not having an offensive line because you could just shotgun, catch, and throw and let him go to work and get those yards after the catch. Or as Mike Vrabel used to refer to him as free yards. He catches the
Mm-hmm.
ball and he's going to do something with it. And there's a sense of urgency with his game that I really like. You mentioned the catch radius, and yeah, he's not the 6'4", 6'3" guy, but you mentioned in the pros that dog that he has him. He's a 6 foot and under type of receiver that plays like he's 6'4". That Steve Smith is in him as far as going up and attacking the football and getting it and just making a catch where you're like, how did he come up with that? And I think when you look at Malik Neighbors, man, the ability to move him around. He, in my opinion, is the ideal slot option for the Titans because he gives them that explosiveness out of that slot position. But he's just going to have to make sure that he's able to go against longer corners. That's going to be the big thing for him, going against longer corners that like to get that stab, 1 or 2 arm stab at the line of scrimmage. That's going to be the area, seeing how he can improve from that aspect and work out that way. But I think Malik Neighbors is a can't miss prospect. He's a guy I know the Titans have a lot of interest in. Obviously, they met with him at the combine, but then you look at the pro day and other things. Like he's definitely somebody to watch out for. And that 4.35 is juicy, and it shows up on tape.
Mm-hmm. I saw it. I saw it. And to add on to what you're saying with that, I mean, he'll be coming into a absolutely fantastic situation. We talk
Yeah.
about the whole catch radius. He can play bigger than what he is. I mean, he'll get to pick the brains of D Hop and Calvin Ridley, which is gonna help him be even better than what he already is. And so we're already talking about, you know, there's a possibility that yeah, D Hop could still be here after this season, but if not, we need an heir apparent because we don't know if Burks is going to be in. He, as Callie has said, Burks has got to earn it, and everybody else got to earn their spot. Malik Neighbors could be that heir apparent that if we have to let D Hop go after this year, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay at the end of the day with Neighbors, Ridley, whatever we have with Traylon Burks. But man, I mean, the one word I come up with is explosive, like dynamite. He can blow
Mhm.
up. And so you have your Maserati, you have your Lamborghini. I just like just a clean, smooth, like Ferrari in this next one, and that would be the glory of Rome, Roma Dunzier, which I mean, a lot of people, a lot of people now, TD, feel free to correct me. We know that there's one and two, and I don't think there's much of a drop off to Roma Dunzier's game because the one word I just get when it comes to him with a couple of games that I saw and some of the highlights I've seen is clean to me. I mean, I just think he just does everything very well. Size. He has a little bit more strength than the first two, but you know, I mean, he has great hands. And you know, the vertical speed could be a bit of an issue, but I think like with some of the guys, yeah, you look at it on the at the combine, you're thinking, oh well, this guy may not be that fast, and they look better on tape when you really go back and look. Adunze Rome to me is just flat out just a clean wide receiver. You can't go wrong with him either.
No, he's a clean receiver. He reminds me a lot of Larry Fitzgerald, and the vertical speed is something that I don't think there should be concern about. He tested at 4.4. That's plenty of
Mm-hmm.
fast. And
Yep.
you look at him, he is a deep threat. How many times have you seen him running down the field, catching the football 30 yards down the field, catching the ball from the Mad Bomber and Michael Penix, who,
Yep.
throws as good of a deep ball as anyone. I think you look at neighbors, or excuse me, you look at a Dunze, and you're getting a guy who knows how to set his routes up. You're getting a guy who, in my opinion, is the best combat catcher in this draft class. You're getting a guy who, has been on the field with other outstanding receivers, but still excelled and made himself that guy. But then also, you mentioned that the Oregon game is one of the ones that you watched, and I love the battles he had with Kyrie Jackson, who's one of my favorite
Mm-hmm.
corners in this game, in this draft. And I think when you look at those games, he moved around a lot. There were times where they had him in
Yep.
the backfield, in the slot, at a tight flex position, outside, on the ball, off the ball. He's somebody that you could do whatever you want with, and he's going to get that for you. Maybe not as much of a yards after the catch guy as Malik Neighbors, but he still is somebody that, when the game's on the line, he's going to make the play. And that's what he did so much at Washington. You just got to be careful. Like, I really believe that he's a dog, but sometimes those West Coast guys, it's not always the same as your Louisiana, your Florida type guys, your East Coasters. So that's something to watch. But I think Adunze, man, like he's tough, man, and you can't go wrong and get him.
Absolutely, and I like that too because I mean, in like I said, the game with Oregon, he makes the game winning catch. He makes the big catch, and it just seemed like whenever Penix needed that big play, number one was the guy he was going to, and 99 times out of 100, Rome was delivering, and he
Yeah.
delivered big time when it comes to that. Now, I would come back to two other guys in just a bit. I'm going to skip over a couple of guys, but another guy that I got up, Combine basically made me pay attention to this kid, Xavier Worthy out of Texas. 6'1, 172. When we say the word speed, because I've been banging on this for 4 years that we needed some speed, and it just never seemed to come to fruition. This kid is the epitome of the word speed. Elite, 4.21. Also has some return ability, which we do need that, and can separate and get run yards after the catch. Now, he does have those few drops, and the slender frame could put on maybe about another 10 to 20 pounds, maybe. Hopefully that won't make him lose a step, which I don't think he would. But still, a absolutely impressive wide receiver. And believe me, as the old saying goes, speed kills.
I mean, I don't necessarily think he needs to put on weight. I think you look at his game and you look at guys like Devontae Smith, who just signed a big contract. You look at Jordan
Yep.
Addison, who had an outstanding rookie year. You look
Loved him.
even a little bit further back and go to Deshaun Jackson. You look at Hollywood Brown, who I've seen him get compared to. These are all guys that kept their weight. They excelled. I think he's more physical than all three of those guys, all four of them. And you look, I mean, how many times did you see him catch the ball on the boundary and not go out of bounds?
Yep.
He stayed in
He
bounds and
can't
decided to lower the
turn.
shoulder. He's willing to not only just catch and turn, but he's willing, if he's squared up, he's going to lower the shoulder. And I think that's a testament to what he has inside of him. He's not the biggest guy, but he's someone that will get physical when need be. But then on top of that, that 4.26 that he ran, that 4.2, it shows on tape. You see him
Yep.
so many times. Like, he's one of those guys, he lines up off the ball. Corners are going to have to line up a little bit off of him. So he's going to get those releases just because of the respect that his speed brings. A lot of people look at John Ross and what he did, the previous record holder, and he wasn't anywhere near as physical or as polished as Xavier Worthy is. I really like Worthy. He does bring the return aspect, as you mentioned, but he's just a dynamic player, and he has what you call that easy speed. He hits that top gear quickly, and he's someone that running that post route, as a corner. It's not a matter of if I'm even, I'm leaving. It's a matter if I'm within 2 yards of you, I'm leaving. And I think that's the real plus for Worthy.
Absolutely. And I mean, the thing about it is, you have to give him that respect, and you better have somebody over the top to help on that side, because if you leave a maybe not as fast corner on him one-on-one like that, you've basically just led your lamb to slaughter, because Worthy's just gonna go right past him. And as I'm trying to remember who was it. It was either Dion or MJD using on highlights. It's like, if he catch the ball open field and he's gone, it's like, go ahead and go to the sideline, get ready for the kickoff, because you're not catching him. You're definitely not catching him. Now I'm gonna move on to a guy I know that's dear to your heart, somebody that you have been huge on this whole time, and that is old Keon Coleman of Florida State. And me being a small Noles fan, shout out to the Noles, of course. Memphis Tigers is my love, but I am definitely a Noles fan as well. I mean, Keon Coleman fits the bill. 6'4", 216. I just think he's very strong. He's a combat catcher, has that dog mentality, run ability, athletic, as some of you may or may not know. Of course, TD knows this. Played basketball as well. Played at Michigan State with Tom Izzo and everything. And I did say not fast, mainly with the combine, but again, looks better on tape than what maybe the combine says to show. And yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like he always seems to be in a contested situation where it's like he has somebody draped on him, he has to just make that very tough catch. But I mean, Keon Coleman was somebody I was definitely high on early, and I know some other guys have kind of come up too. I think if Keon Coleman is there at 38, I would not be against taking him if we go Joe Alt. I like this dog.
Yeah, I don't know that he's a classic example of the combine mislabeling a player. Yeah, he ran that 4.6, but within that 4.6, he hit 22 miles an hour. Last time I checked, that's pretty fast.
I would
You
agree.
look at the gauntlet drill. Nobody ran faster than him in the last 3 years in the gauntlet drill. And
I love that
last time I
gauntlet drill.
checked, you're drafting a guy to run fast and catch the football. He was faster than everybody else running and catching the football. You look at film, take the Wake Forest game, for example. He got open at some times, when they didn't have Kalen Carson on him. That was a really good matchup. He even beat Carson a few times. But the combat catching is something that he does. The spectacular catching is something he does. He's a guy that reminds me, if you look back to the old Chargers days with Malcolm Floyd, who always
Okay.
made a spectacular catch. He wasn't an ultra fast guy, but he was a severe threat down the field. And I think, that's where he comes into play. But then at 6'4", he moves like a smaller receiver. You don't see many 6'4" receivers or 6'4" men going back there catching punts, but that's what he did, and he did a
Yes, he
solid
did.
job of it. I think when you look at Coleman, also, there's a lot to like about him with that size. There's a lot that you could do with him. You could use his size across the formation. He could be that big power slot for you when you want him to do that. And he is very athletic. I tell you a story. I mentioned Jerry and Jones and how he covered Malik Neighbors, in the LSU FSU game. Jerry Jones told me the first time he met Keon Coleman, and this was in my story, my feature from the combine with him. He said the first time he met Keon Coleman, they were at Coach's house for like a team cookout, and they introduced him there. And he pulled up. He had jeans, some Jordan 4s, and a tank top on, and they were playing basketball. And he said, "Man, let me see that ball." They threw him the ball. He threw it off the backboard, caught it, went between his legs, and banged it. And again, in jeans, some fours, and a tank top. That lets you know how athletic he is. I want that, especially in the red zone.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely a red zone threat. And I mean that is major. And I mean him, and I'll even throw out a one of my deep dark horses in Johnny Wilson at 6'7". I know there's some that may want to move him to tight end. Maybe you don't have to, because I mean, like Keon Colby, he was playing on the boundary and he was holding his own, doing just fine, in my honest opinion. So definitely like those Florida State cats. My last one in my top five, and then we're gonna get into some dark horses. Roman Wilson out of Michigan. I know this is a guy that the Titans have definitely shown some interest in. They had a top 30 visit with him recently. Definitely a slot guy. Definitely has some very good speed, good routes. Can get open. Now, he does have a small size. He does have that small, slender size, but he makes up for it very well. What are your thoughts on Roman Wilson?
Yeah, I don't think he's that slender. 5'11", 185 is pretty solid, if you ask me. But he is a guy that will play mostly in the slot, and he'll give you that vertical threat out of the slot. I just like the dog in him. I like the quiet confidence that he has. I'll tell you another story at the Senior Bowl. They rounded up
Very.
everybody at the end of practice, and Quinyon Mitchell, who is an outstanding
Mm-hmm.
corner, in my opinion, he's the top corner in this draft class. Quinyon Mitchell was called out. They told him to come to the middle of the field, and they said, "Hey, pick somebody who you want to cover." And he picked Roman Wilson. And I happened to be standing next to Roman Wilson, and he turned to me, tapped me on my like that, and he said, "Watch this, man." And he went out there and he routed Quinyon up, Mitchell up, and the route was really good. And then the ball was a little bit behind him, snapped it out of the air with one hand, landed in bounds. That's what you want. But you also just look at how he was working against these corners at the Senior Bowl. He did his thing. I think he
Yeah.
was really caught up in that run first offense. But when it was time to make a play, he made a play. I saw you mentioned drops. Yeah, I mean that's something that could be worked on. I don't know that it was as big of a problem to point it out as a area for improvement, but I definitely think you're talking about that mid second round. He's absolutely somebody that I would look at because he has that big play ability.
Oh, absolutely. And you mentioned the Senior Bowl. Yeah, that's why I really, got his name, was from the Senior Bowl. And like you said, Quinyon Mitchell, they had some good matchups over those few days going one
Yeah.
on one. I was very impressed with that with Roman Wilson. I said, man, this Roman Wilson guy, I was like, okay, I see you. I definitely see you. Now, in a couple of dark horses I have, I know are some names that I know a lot of people are wondering, how come you didn't mention these guys? And I know there's two in particular. Well, one I forgot to put on the list is Brian Thomas Jr. From LSU, and AD Adonai Mitchell from Texas. And I will tell everybody the main reason I didn't have those two maybe in the top five is because I don't think either one is going to be where the Titans are at 38 unless we trade back maybe from 7 and then trade back again maybe to where we can get one of those guys. I don't think they're going to be anywhere close on the board when the Titans pick again at 38 after 7, depending on what they do at 7, which that is why I will tell everybody that's why I didn't have Brian Thomas or A.D. Mitchell listed in my top 5. But quickly on those two cats, TD, before we get to the other dark horses, Brian Thomas, A.D. Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, A.D. Mitchell, I love what he said at the combine. They asked him if they could add one drill to it, what would it be? And he said one-on-ones. I like that. I like that approach. And you look at him, you look in the championship, or you look in the BCS game, the playoffs. He made a really good catch, contested catch on that right corner of the end zone. That's what he does. And he's a very good route runner. He's the guy that will go up and get the ball. I like A.D. Mitchell. The size is good too. Now, Brian Thomas, that's another one where he started football a little late, and he really started coming to his own at LSU. I want to see how he does, as the guy on the team. Because, like, if he's a first round pick, he's going to be the guy. So I want to see how he does there. I think he will excel. He's a very polished vertical route runner, whereas he sets things up really well. I like what he does there. So those are two guys that I think are really good options. They're not in my top 5. I have Keon Coleman in my top 5. I have Xavier Legette also in my top 5, in addition to the 3 that everyone has in Harrison, Neighbors, and Adunze. And I think when you look at Xavier Legette, he reminds me so much of AJ Brown. And I'm not talking
Yes.
about like the production that you're going to get. I'm talking about the body movement. I'm talking about the style of play. He's 227 pounds. Yeah, people were upset that he was 6'2" or instead of 6'3", 6'4". So what? He goes up and he
Now that.
catches the football. He's a late, got an opportunity late and made the most of it, starting from the jump against North Carolina. And you look at his ability to catch the ball and outrun defenses is definitely there. I love what he did at the Senior Bowl as far as toughing it out despite that injury. And he's one of those guys, man. I saw most of these guys up close, but when I saw Xavier Legette up close, I'm like, dang, he's real. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that size is there that will allow him to run through tackles and do some of the things that you saw A.J. Brown do.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna go back to Brian Thomas, and the thing that I liked with him and is that the speed, you see it. You definitely see the speed. You see the fluidity in him running. With that, yeah, could use a little bit of work on his routes, but I mean, he ain't no slouch, and we know LSU, they put out some darn good receivers. I mean, we're talking. Yeah, I know we talk about OBJ. We talk about Justin Jefferson. We talk about Jamar Chase. And those guys. I mean, they just kept churning out receivers, and I mean, Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas could be a couple more. A.D. Mitchell, I think, has that potential to be that number one. Maybe you don't see that just yet, but I do see that potential with him to be that number one because the guy definitely goes up and makes the big time catches, the big time plays that I saw definitely against Kansas State. He definitely made a big catch for a touchdown that was needed as well. So I definitely did like what I saw out of both of those guys. Xavier Legette, I'm with you. If you want an A.J. Brown carbon copy, he's a big body guy that looks faster than he is. I'm sorry, that is faster than he looks. Excuse me. When it comes to that, and I definitely do like, um, and we're definitely there. And I definitely do like what I see with him. But I'm just trying to make sure. But yeah, I was just trying to make sure we got good on the sound with everybody. TD, you still good? Yeah. So I mean, I definitely like Xavier Legette. He's definitely a guy that I would not be I would not be slouched at if we got him in the second round. Troy Franklin's another one in Oregon that just outstanding speed that he has. I believe he ran a 4.41 at Oregon. And I mean the guy is very, very good with his routes and things like that. I mean definitely good there. Make sure we got everything going good. But one other guy that I think is a name that maybe somebody's forgotten about, Malachi Corley from Western Kentucky, um, is is that cat that we may not talk about in the first or second round, but later maybe in the fourth round, third or fourth round, he could go earlier. Malachi Corley at Western Kentucky is another guy that shined at the Senior Bowl as well.
Yeah, I mean, Corley is a yards after catch specialist. He's built like a running back, a lot of manufactured touches, but he did stuff when he got those touches. So yeah, I mean, you definitely have to factor him in. He's the guy I would put more in the slot, but he's definitely a playmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know TD's got to roll out in just a bit. I might have just lost him because I know you probably had to go and everything. I was gonna try to get him on out with his show and everything, but I definitely do appreciate TD being on. Um, hopefully I got him back before he had to roll out. I know he had to take care of some things and stuff like that. Oh, I think I just got him back. Okay. All right, TD. I know you probably got to roll it a bit. I was just gonna um just see if you maybe had one last person, whether tight end or wide receiver that nobody's talking about that we should be, and I can get you out of here on that
I like Jaheim Bell, the tight end out of Florida State. We'll stay with the Seminoles. He's a guy that's very explosive. He gets you yards after the catch. He could be that classic H back for you, but also a Y. I think he gives you a lot of the things that Chig Okonkwo gave you, and he would add to the mix. He's someone that I really like. A few other receivers. I mean, Javon Baker. Just he's a playmaker. I know his combine time wasn't all that much, but you look at him on tape. He's running away from people. He's making big plays. So those are a couple. You talk about playmakers and what this Titans team need. Those are a few guys there.
one. Absolutely. And so before we do get you out of here, what's up on Talking with TD? I know y'all gotta go check that out. Definitely go check Talking with TD out. I know he's gonna be on with my guy Jared, and I might call in tomorrow because I need to find out what's up with this whole Drake May thing that he's been talking about. Um, tell everybody about Talking with TD and where they can find you and everything if they don't know.
Yeah, talking with TDs on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all that stuff. We actually got Joe Alt tomorrow, so we'll have a conversation with him, and that's what's coming up. And of course, you got Chris Sanders on there every week.
Absolutely, I'm gonna definitely have to chime it up with you. And TD, I know you got a busy schedule and everything. Got a week before the draft. Are you gonna be in Detroit?
No, I don't do the draft on site. It's better to do it at the facility.
Absolutely, but and so TD, my guy, as always, we definitely do thank you for joining. Thank you for being on the show, man. I appreciate you. Yeah, my mentor, my mentor. He is definitely my ace in the hole. My guy TD. TD, appreciate you, man. Enjoy that evening in Nashville. Miss y'all up there.
All right, peace.
Peace out. And that was TD Teron Davenport from ESPN. Definitely do appreciate him tuning in. I know there was some wind in the background because I know he was outside and everything. So, but definitely do appreciate TD for coming on the show and joining us talking about draft. But wide receiver, a very, very explosive position. And so, like I said, with everybody, I know Amar said draft Alt or Neighbors. If both gone, draft Dallas Turner. If both are gone, I'm going Rome, Adunzier. I will be mad if they take Dallas Turner. Hell, I'll take Brock Bowers at this rate. But I would go with Rome Adunzier first. I'm with Courtney Jackson, Joe Alt. Alt is the first guy on the list. But I definitely appreciate TD checking in with us and everything. But I wanted to do a little mock draft with everybody, maybe do a couple rounds, see what, you know, what could be offered to me. I just thought that would be kind of fun to do. And so I'm just trying to set up my draft right quick. I'm going to see if I can. All right. And so I just wanted to set up. I'm going on Pro Football Network. And so I definitely do like um, the simulator there. I'm gonna try to see if I can show it up good. I'm trying to see if I can put the full screen up and everything, but let me see. Trying to get these things out of here, but y'all forgive me for that. I'm just trying to make sure I was, you hate it when you're doing some stuff and all these ads want to show up and everything for you. But we're going to have a good time anyway. And we're just going to go on into this draft. And I'm going to show y'all what I would do in this situation. So you see a few guys. Now, as you can already see, Caleb Williams goes 1 to Chicago. Jane Daniels goes 2 to Washington. Drake made 3 to New England. Marvin Harrison, Roma Dunzier, Malik Neighbors. Now, some trade offers did come from the Jets, 1072 and 111. Sounds good, but I'm not going to bite. Raiders give up 13 and 44. Saints 14 and 45. I mean, all these trades are realistic and look good. What I am afraid of is that Joe Alt's not going to be there at 10. I'm afraid the Jets are going to try to move up and steal Joe Alt from under me. Even though they already have their own offensive line. They have Tyron Smith and they have Morgan Moses. So, should I stick at 7? Or do I take that trade from the Jets? Because that trade looked rather nice. Raiders is not a bad trade either. You get an extra 3rd round pick. I think I'm going to accept that Jets pick. And look at that. Look at God. I mean, I trade back with the Jets. They take Olu at 7. And Joe Alt is still sitting there at 10. And so I'm going to take him. And that was easy. And then I added an extra 3rd round pick. I had an extra 3rd round pick to the mix as well. And so now we're going to get ready to head into the 2nd round. Dag, I hate Xavier Worthy's not available. But now we come up to 38. Baltimore's offering me the 49th pick and a 2nd round pick next year. No, I'm gonna turn that down. Dallas is offering 56 and then a 2nd and a 6th next year. I don't like those either. I'm gonna turn them down too. So I have my offensive lineman. Question is at other positions. Wide receiver. I mean, Xavier Legette, right there, you got Lab McConkey. You got Lab McConkey. You got Troy Franklin. You got Polk. You got Malachi Corley. And I am very tempted to take Troy Franklin because I want that speed. But then you also got Jordan Morgan. You got Christian Haynes. You got Tyler Dubin. I mean, Titans need a safety. We need a safety. Darius Robinson is sitting there. You need a pass rusher. You need a pass rusher as well. But I'm going to be perfectly honest. Got to come away with a receiver. And I think I'm being a bit greedy. I can't let that speed pass. I would have drafted Darius Robinson, but I like that speed. And so I'm just making sure everybody's still with me as we get through the second round. And Parker Davis asked, will you be live for the draft next week or just round one or more? I will be live for both round one on Thursday night and on Friday night, rounds 2 and 3. I will be live for both of those. Absolutely. I will definitely be live all the way. And now we're at pick 72 in round 3. Minnesota's offered me their third and their fourth next year to trade back. I think I'm going to turn that down. Carolina all the way back to 101. I'm going to turn that down too. I'm like, I don't see benefits in any of those. So now I'm looking at I've went offense the first couple of rounds. Now I know I might need to go defense at some point. And I would see if Tavondre Sweat is there in round 4, although I'm very nervous he might not be. And there's a lot of good choices. Chris Jenkins is another. And I mean, I could definitely use a safety. Cole Bishop, Javon Bullard from Georgia is there as well. We could use help at inside linebacker. But there's actually quite a few choices that I could go with here. And I think I'm going to go with Chris Jenkins Jr. because we do need help on the defensive line. And so that's why I went with Chris Jenkins. He was the best player on the board. And is everybody hearing me good? And so I did my 3-round mock, and I still now have picks 101. I ended up getting I ended up now having 2 4th-round picks at 106 and 111. So when I traded back with the Jets, I still got Joe Alt at 10. I still get Joe Alt at 10. I got Troy Franklin at 38, and then I go on the defensive line with Chris Jenkins. So let me know what y'all think of that. Let me know what y'all think of that mock draft and everything with that. So again, at 10, I go with Joe Alt. I went with Joe Alt at 10. I traded back with the Jets, hoping he would still be there. And then I get a 3rd-round pick and a 4th-round pick as well with the Jets. So I get 2 extra picks, and I still get the guy that I wanted 10. At 38, I decided I needed some speed. And so I went with Troy Franklin. I could have went with Lab McConkey, but that speed that Troy Franklin has, I could not pass up. And then in the third round, I knew I needed to go defense. I was tempted to go with Tavondre Sweat, but I like Chris Jenkins because he was the best player on the board at a position of need. We need help at defensive tackle to go along with Big Jeff. So let me know what y'all think of my mock draft, and I will definitely post that on the pages later on today or tomorrow. But I'm going to get ready to get up out of here in just a bit, but letting y'all know, yes, I will be live doing I will be live next Wednesday. So next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you're going to get a whole lot of truth. And I'm definitely going to be trying to see if I can line up a few guests to come join. And I might get some of y'all to come on in with me, some of my fellow people to join me as well. So definitely make sure y'all be in tune. Make sure y'all stay tuned and get ready for that. And we're gonna be live Wednesday. I'm gonna do a full 1-round mock draft. I'm gonna do a full 1-round mock, and then on Wednesday, and then Thursday we will go live for round 1. We're gonna go live for round 1 of the draft. And then on Friday, we will go live for rounds 2 and 3 as well. So we will definitely be live for all of that. So definitely get ready for that, y'all. We're going to have a big party. So everybody, I think that's going to just about do it for TNT tonight. Also, I want to give a congratulations to the Nashville Predators for making the playoffs. They're going to get ready to start the playoffs in a few days. And then also I knew there was something. Also, if you're here in Memphis, there is a big event. I'm gonna tell y'all about it. It's next Saturday night, the All Blue Affair. With the Titans Fan Club of Memphis. I'm going to put some information on my page as well. So shout out to the Titans Fan Club of Memphis. Make sure y'all definitely stay tuned for that. I know some of y'all will be at the draft party. Unfortunately, Miss Jackie, I will not be in town in Nashville. I miss Nashville. I miss home. I miss all of y'all up there. But I will be live, so make sure y'all stay tuned. And while some of y'all at the draft party, y'all could be watching me on YouTube. So definitely make sure y'all do that. And again, I thank everybody for tuning in to TNT tonight. I'm your man, Blue Enforcer, aka The Truth. Again, I hope everybody gives a like to the show. And if you're still new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. I thank y'all for tuning in. Super chats are appreciated. And we're going to have some fun next week. We got a lot in store. And so, everybody, we just going to have fun and tighten up. Because that's all we know how to do. Good night, y'all.